St Andrews has one of the largest collections of historic carving in Scotland, some of it dating back to Pictish times. It's open to the public always, but this week
it's one of the largest, and it also covers one of the widest range of dates from the 8th century up to the 17th, with carvings from the Dark Ages, the medieval period, and also after the Reformation.
Now, one of the most interesting is the sarcophagus. Tell me something about that.
It was discovered actually underground by a gravedigger in the 1830s. Two of the panels are missing, unfortunately, but the rest form some kind of box or shrine or sarcophagus, as it's known. Presumably it was inside a church. We don't know where the church was exactly. It may have held the relics of a saint, even of St Andrew himself, or perhaps the bones of a king, because the imagery on the side seems to be of the biblical King David, the ideal king of medieval Christendom. He's shown partly as a classically robed figure, but also partly as someone who has Pictish attributes, the dirk at his side, and his shield, and his sword, and spear, and so on. And he's engaged in, on the large figure, rending the jaw of the lion, as it says in the Bible, in the Old Testament, and also hunting animals.
But it's not just religious stones. There's a green man, and there's also an effigy of a mason. Yes,
the mason's tomb, perhaps from the early 15th century. Again, it was found, reused actually in the precinct wall of the cathedral. Presumably, this rather nice, though only half life-size tomb, was a fairly prestigious individual who'd done a lot for the cathedral in the way of carving and so on. So he's shown in his, not in his working gear, but in robes, and his tools to show that he is a mason are displayed around him, set square at one side, and his feet are actually resting on a hammer.
You have on display a rather attractive bust of Christ.
This is one of the best examples of this sort of image. It's a holy image that survives in Scotland. It's probably from the early 13th century. It would have stood probably above an altar in the medieval cathedral. But unfortunately, we only have the head, almost certainly because at the Reformation, when an outburst of iconoclasm occurred in Scotland in 1559, 1560, it was probably smashed from its body, and the head itself was rediscovered, actually thrown into the monastic toilet.
So at the weekend, what's going to be different? What are the visitors here going to be able to hear and see?
A lot of people probably come into the museum and they don't have a chance really to appreciate what we have here, because you certainly can't see the stones as well as you should. So I'm hoping to take people around, show them the best examples, and also, with torch in hand, point out the fine detail and what it means as far as that can be reconstructed.
This weekend's tours are already booked out, but Historic Scotland are planning more later in the year.